Welcome to Best in Class. My name is AJ Madden. I have the honor and privilege of helping individuals and organizations become best in class at what they do. Today, we have an incredible guest who's got a ton of expertise and positive energy to share with us. Seana Lois, CEO of Kelly O's out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kelly O's is absolutely a Pittsburgh legend. Shauna's a Pittsburgh legend as well as her mom, Kelly O. Shauna started working in 2002 at Kelly O's. She worked all the way through high school on the weekends. She moved to full time in 2006, became CEO in 2016. It was a 22-year journey, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she was recently named a Pittsburgh CEO to watch by iHeart Media. Kelly O's has been featured on Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives and Triple D Nation. They are consistently nominated as a Best in Pittsburgh, have won Best Breakfast in Pittsburgh awarded by the Pittsburgh Post Gazette over 5 times, and have been named one of Pittsburgh's favorite local legacy businesses. They've also been on every news channel multiple times in Pittsburgh and have hosted Jason Mamoa, Michael Keaton, Christopher Nolan, Christopher Noth, Jerome Bettis, Biz Markee, Ike Taylor, Antonio Brown, and the Rooney family, who own the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as many, many, many more Pittsburghers. Shauna's hobbies include raising chickens, gardening, horseback riding. She has 2 horses, hiking, and yoga. And her proudest accomplishments include raising her 4 incredible kids,
yes,
and homeschooling them, on top of being a incredible CEO, opening 2 Kelly O's and 1 new concept. Okay, yeah. Kelly O's is growing, thriving, and growing. And Shauna, I want to say welcome to Kelly O's. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your positive energy as always. I appreciate what you do for Pittsburgh and all your team members and all your customers. It's just an honor to have you here. I was very excited. Let's jump in to your philosophy, okay, that made you so successful personally and professionally. What are 3 to 5 key mindsets that would help someone become best in class at what they do?
Okay. My number one is being self-accountable. No one will push you to be a better you. You have to do that. That's on you. I preach this. I have teenage daughters that are growing into beautiful young women. I preach that daily to them. Be humble. This is something that I work on and intend to practice daily, but to stop and listen before I speak, and just really try to understand that I have 88 employees, and there are people in positions that are technically lesser than mine, but they have some radical ideas, some new perspectives or new practices that I would have never thought about. And being humble is an incredible way to tap into those. Being flexible, I really practice rolling with the punches. You've always helped me understand that there's a lot of variables in any industry, and understanding that I can't control all of them. So, controlling the controllables, but when things go awry, as they do, being flexible in that moment is a huge game changer. Some days my day changes. It's not what I intended it to be. So, and then in all of that, giving 100% as often as I possibly can. You turned me on to Greg Harden, and I think it is him that says, give 100%, 100% of the time. And that's one of my favorites. So.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. A beautiful list there of mindsets. And I've watched you practice these for as long as I've known you, 7, 8 years now. It's probably been, this isn't just a list. This isn't just Shauna talking. I've watched her practice all these mindsets just relentlessly, and always trying to get a little better at each one.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful list. How about habits, Shauna? What are 3 to 5 key daily habits that would help someone become best in class at whatever they do. They want to be a best in class parent, a best in class CEO, best in class teacher, police chief, sports coach, universal habits that you practiced.
I move my body every day. I think that's one of the first things I do every morning. Stretching, fascia release, yoga, whatever it is that works for you, walking. I do that daily. Something that has changed my life completely is scrapping the paper calendar and moving to an electronic version of that. It helps me track my time. It helps me stay organized, set the reminder, use it. It's such an amazing tool. Never stop learning. And so whether it's reading, writing, like using your brain to write a sentence, talking it out, sitting in a room full of people that are more accomplished than you. I'm constantly trying to learn from someone or something. And a big one for me is finding time to quiet my mind every day. So whether it's meditation, horseback riding is a hobby that you can't really be thinking about being a parent or a business owner or any of the things. You're on a wild animal that just so happens to give you the grace to be well trained. So I try to put things in my life that give me the space to clock out from mom life and business life, spouse life, and just be and exist in that moment. So definitely finding time to quiet my brain and giving myself that space to like recover. But those are big ones for me.
Okay. Okay. And that's
Yeah.
really a complete system, Shauna, you just laid out there.
Mhm.
It's really a complete system for success. I was just looking down the list, and I mean, it's about getting things done, the action steps of using that electronic calendar with reminders so you stay organized on your most important things, what needs to get done. Okay. And then also to never stop learning, just that continuous. And I've watched you do this for years, as long as I've known you. Sean is one of the best learners I've ever met. She's always asking questions. She's always looking to learn and improve.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't get to be on a CEO to watch list in Pittsburgh by being complacent, right? And
Yeah.
being haphazard with your time, and
Yes.
also taking the time, which is beautiful because, I mean, I've known Shauna to work incredible amounts of hours in a week, and and a long time without vacation. She's put the repetitions in, and also is talking about the importance of getting that exercise and also finding time to quiet your mind every day so we don't grind ourselves into dust. So
Yeah.
we can be very successful. I mean, you're more successful than ever, and you're not mentally grinding yourself into dust, correct?
Correct. I feel the best I've felt with the highest amount of workload I've ever had. So I
Oh,
think
there you
it's
go.
working. I think it's working.
It's beautiful because Shauna's also a super mom. I mean, you're going to probably hear me say that multiple times in this, but her dedication to being the best mom she could be, and spouse, daughter, sister, it's just extraordinary. So she's not just a CEO to watch, she's a person to watch. She's a human being to watch in terms of her dedication there. So to be able to be that super CEO and also that super family member, her time's very organized.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, as you said, you feel the best you've ever felt. And also,
Yeah.
you know, it's the most, you're doing the most, the company's obviously the most successful it's ever been. It's always growing, but
Yeah.
you're doing the highest impact work.
Yeah.
Okay. Really focused on the highest impact work. So it's not
Yeah.
about quantity of work. It's about quality of work. Correct?
Hands down. Yeah. I think people talk a lot about wanting that work-life balance, and it comes from what you do within work and what you choose to do outside of work. And those four things that I just said, moving your body, using your calendar, finding time to quiet your mind, always learning, that's where I'm hitting that highest percentage of time inside of work and time outside of work, because all four of those pertain to both. So I think
Oh,
that,
well said.
yeah,
The highest quality of habit.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure I could tap into a bunch of low quality habits and it
Uh,
wouldn't add up to be those four, you know?
Oh, well said. Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the quotes of the year on the podcast. That was a good one. Oh, that was a good one. Brilliant explanation of mindsets and habits. And again, Shauna really lives these. That's why she can say it with such simplicity and conviction. I've watched it for years. Great lessons for all of us. Shauna,
Yeah.
what's your definition of excellence?
Ooh, being the best at what you're doing. And obviously that could pertain to a product too, but I think the more important side of it is you can't get there without sacrifice and without consistent hard work and dedication. And then once you are at this level of excellence, right, it doesn't feel like sacrifice and it doesn't feel like constant hard work and always having to be super dedicated, because now you have systems in place, you have people around you that have, built you or built with you to get to that spot. So I think it's a top tier word, right? Excellence is. And when you're building it, it could feel harder, but once you're there, it's like getting gold at the Olympics, right? You're just like, this is it. I belong here. This is what I wanted. This is what I was striving for. So,
Oh, well said.
yeah.
Well said. Well said. I mean, you're talking about the process of what it takes to get there and also having that clear aiming point from the beginning.
Yes.
Definition of excellence to be the best,
Yeah.
right? And put those repetitions in. It took to get there, hard at times. But once you get there, all those days and minutes
It
and
just
weeks
drops
adds up.
away. You forget how hard it was.
Yeah.
None of that matters anymore because you're there, right?
Oh, well said. That's a good that's a good point. To focus on, okay, we're here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do
Right.
we go
Here we
next?
are. Where do we go next? As
Right.
always, that's a Kelly O and Shauna mantra. Okay, what's next?
Yeah. What are we doing now? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's right. What's bigger, better next? What's your definition of service?
Giving someone or something like physical and emotional support, but you can't have one without the other. Um, it, you can't do it without being kind and genuine. I'll use it. I'm a restaurant person, so when I think of service, I'm thinking of what my servers are doing for my customer. And I remember no customer has ever talked about me and been like, oh, she's the best server, or this was the best service because I made sure that they had a straw every time they asked for it. It was always in conjunction with, but she asked me about my family and we had a beautiful conversation and it was uplifting. It wasn't, hey, how are you? What do you want to drink? It's like, hey, AJ, how's your day? How's your dad? What's going on with your dog? Oh, you needed a straw? Right. So it's like, it's together, it's a piece, and it comes from a place of like being kind and being genuine. I think excellent service is, top tier service, but while you are being incredibly genuine. And we talk a lot about serving from a place of love, right? So I think service itself is like that idea of selling, but you have to do it from a genuine place. So
That makes sense. And definitely that philosophy of serving from a place of love comes through at Kelly O's. If you go in there, you will feel it at every location. You are greeted with warmth. You are given fond farewells. People check in on you.
yeah,
As busy as they are, people still take the time, that moment to check on you. And our definition of service, in terms of best in class, is be kind and useful. Okay,
mm,
which is exactly what you're talking about. Be kind is that, how are you? How's your family? That moment. Okay, and being useful is bringing out what they need. The greats,
yeah,
like you said, do you need a napkin? That's so it's that beautiful combination of both. And
right.
definitely, the food is made with. I have a theory that food made with love tastes different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And well, my theory, that's a common philosophy, I think, but it applies to everything. Anything that's done with love feels different, whether it's a product or a service. So the food does taste different when it comes out of Kelly O's because there is love there in the
Yeah,
food as well as the interaction. And that's why if you look at the reviews online and you look at all the awards, that didn't happen by accident. Everything was done with excellence and service,
Yeah.
kind and useful at the highest levels. So if
Yes.
you're in Pittsburgh, uh,
Come
go
see
to,
me.
yeah, go see Shauna, go see Kelly's. It will
Yeah.
be one of the best decisions you've made,
Yeah.
and you'll see why, what all the awards are about.
Yes.
Here's some rapid fire questions, Shauna. What is your one big hardship that you overcame in life, personal or professional?
Well, okay. So my two oldest kids are 19 and 17. I was 21 when my husband and I adopted them. They were an interfamily adoption. They're the sister's kids. They were in a pretty terrible situation, but 15 years later, we have hung in there and they're really incredible young women. But when it was happening, it was really hard. Like it was, yeah, I was an overnight parent to two children who were 2 and 3. So, and they were coming out of a traumatic situation. So there was a lot of stuff, there was a lot of layers to it. And I remember being in the middle of it and thinking like, I do not know how Tuesday is going to happen. Wednesday is going to happen. Right. Looking back on it now, I don't know why I was stressed about it. It all worked out. They're really lovely kids. So, but
Okay. Wow. What a story. You
yeah,
know,
they grew up
hats
in
off to, they grew
yeah,
up in Kelly O's,
yeah.
maybe future CEOs of, COOs of Kelly O's,
Oh
and
yeah,
Shauna's husband, Alan, is also incredible. I've gotten to know him really well.
yeah,
And he's another one who's just so dedicated to excellence and service and everything he does.
yes,
Yeah, it's really just in everything you two do, adopting those two young ladies and raising them to your best of your ability.
yeah,
And looking back, I mean, it was a lot of effort to be, again, a super operator of a business, growing business, and also a super mom instantly overnight. One of my favorite quotes, it's by Sigmund Freud. In retrospect, our times of struggle will appear the most beautiful. In
yeah,
retrospect, our times of struggle will appear the most beautiful. So we look back in life at the hardest times and they appear the most beautiful
yes,
because we were pushing ourselves to do challenging things and we were serving at the highest level. Um,
yeah. And
when
I
you look
wouldn't take
back,
it back. I wouldn't, aside from the sadness that I think they felt over some different periods of time, I wouldn't change anything about it. Right.
mm,
It was meant to be as it was. So
and now they're thriving, two thriving young ladies
amazing.
filled with love.
Yeah.
Uh,
My
yeah.
oldest just graduated. That was quite the feat because
Yeah.
she started high school through COVID. So that
Okay.
was it's tough, but she graduated. She did really well. We homeschooled her through the end of high school, and my other daughter just starts her senior year in 2 weeks. So
Okay. Okay. Exciting times. Always
yes,
something big going on.
yes,
Um, Super mom, super CEO.
yeah.
Who are three people you looked up to and learned from?
So number one is obviously my mom. I actually only had two people that I wrote down specifically, but number one, hands down, my mom. I'm so absolutely lucky to be able to call her my mom and my boss. It is such a unique relationship. To be an adult and spend, 5 to 6 days a week with your parent. She was my only parent growing up. She's a widow. And so it's been a very, I mean, we have a very deep bond and a really cool relationship. And she's taught me some things and so many other people things. She's quite an inspiring person. So I feel most lucky to have like the front row seat to her and her at my disposal. I'm sure you could name any awesome mentor you have. And I feel like it's always best when you get to just call them up, right? And run whatever by them. So she's definitely my number one. And my number two is a man named Jim Broon, and he was one of my customers. So I started waiting on him and his family as like a busser in the North Hills Diner. And I became a server and he would always come in on my shifts, but he was the person that taught me what daily positive affirmation would do for your life.
Hmm.
And I talk about this story all the time, and I can almost never do it without crying. But he was also the person that taught me how to pray, and why the importance of praying exists. And he would, when I would serve him, I would say, like, he would go, "Hey kid, can we pray for you?" And I would be like, "Yeah, sure. I'll do a lot for $5, Jim." And I'd let him hold my and let him hold my hand. And for a very large portion of that, I would ignore whatever him and his pastor buddies at the table were saying. And one day he said something, and I broke out in tears. And it was just so indicative of how someone completely random. I never had this man's cell phone number. I didn't see him outside of work. I didn't, he wasn't someone that I hung out with, but he was incredibly influential to me. And I still talk about him clearly daily with a ton of just absolute adoration and love. He was such a cool man. So he was a good dude.
Uh,
Oh, I don't want to cry on a podcast, Adrian. What a terrible thing.
well, thank you. Number one, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I'm sure
Yeah.
he's extremely proud of the
Oh, yeah.
positive energy and positive affirmation you put out to
Yeah.
everyone, myself included.
Yeah.
Okay. And number two, if I don't have someone crying at least once on the podcast, I'm not doing my job. Okay. That means we're
Well,
not
it would
talking
be,
about high impact stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be me. It would be me always.
Well,
So,
many guests, any guests, if I'm not doing my job unless somebody's at least tearing up once here, that means we're
yes.
not hitting the important stuff.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the story. And in
Yeah.
terms of your mom, Kelly O, yes, incredible lady. I can attest to that one. She's one of the most powerful
Really cool lady.
creators I've ever met.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people, along with Shauna. They're such a powerful team of creators.
Yes.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Let's
what they would call a dream team, I feel like. She's the yin to my yang and vice versa. So,
Well said, and it makes you great partners.
yes.
You both bring a ton of great habits and mindsets to the table that you have
Yes.
in common, and then you bring your own unique mindsets and habits to the table, and you
Yeah.
sharpen each other, and it's a quite a partnership.
Yes.
I wish everyone could have a partnership like Shauna and Kelly have. It's something special there.
Oh, and then it's not without the pitfalls, right? But
Every
there's,
relationship is, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. The peaks and the valleys, they exist, but it's a good one. So,
there you go.
yeah.
And what's your tip to people, to get through the valleys and get back to the peaks as quick as possible? What would you say?
Oh,
Any
did
business
we talk about
partnership?
this today?
Uh, uh,
In any business partnership, so for me specifically, it's trying to remove the emotion from how I feel. My perspective's valid and so is hers, and so when those valleys are happening and it feels like low lows, it's usually because I'm so stuck in what I believe and she's so stuck in what she believes that we can't start climbing again, right? So the second you relinquish that emotional brain and you tap into your rational, and you start talking about solutions and hey baby, we take 5 minutes and talk about this after we're not heated. Um, and then we climb and we build from there. So it makes a huge difference.
oh, well said. That
Yeah.
that's great advice for any relationship, whether it's a business partnership or any
Mhm.
relationship we have in life. Take a
Yeah.
pause, take the emotion out of it. Let's
Mhm.
think about solutions here.
Yeah. Cause you can really
Beautiful.
be your own worst enemy in that moment, right? You're,
That's right.
I've made it harder on myself on those lower times where I'm like, why am I even arguing this perspective? So hard. So,
Oh, well said. That's right.
yep.
What's what if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would you choose?
So I actually have thought about this at length and I kept circling back to Greg Harden, and here's why.
Mm,
His
good choice.
storytelling is so engaging to me. Like when I listen to any of the podcasts, I've never even seen what he looks like in real life. I've never even Googled him.
Okay.
But I can hear him, and in my mind, I'm just like, I don't know anything about sports, but this man could get me hooked, right? Like his storytelling and the fact that you can hear his smile, um, I just love it. And I would love to sit down at dinner with him and just pick his brain and ask him a bunch of questions, or sit there in silence and just listen to him tell me all the stories. I think it would be such an interesting 5 minutes, hour, 2 hours, however long. I think I would just love it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we have to make that happen. That's possible. We need to make that happen. And for
Greg
everyone
Harden
listening,
comes to Pittsburgh.
there we go. That's right. Let's make it happen. He's
Yes.
Greg Harden was performance coach. He's a consultant. Um, he coached Tom Brady and Michael Phelps and Michigan athletics for decades. He also does executive coaching and personal coaching. He's a counselor. He wrote a book called Stay Sane in an Insane World, one of my favorite books on mental health and high performance. So that's Greg Harden. That's who we're talking about. I also really respect and admire his work and his
Yeah.
positive energy as well. Great choice.
Yeah.
Beautiful choice. What's your favorite quote, Shauna?
Oh, this one's in my office. It's, if you can't stop thinking about it, don't stop working for it. That's a blanket quote that exists everywhere. You want to be a better mom? Do that every day. Work towards it.
Okay. Oh,
So,
great one. Oh, I love that.
yeah.
Okay. And that's that self-accountability you talked about earlier
Mhm.
and working towards it every day. Okay.
Yep.
And also your definition of, excellence is, it's aiming to be the best and working towards it every day.
Yeah.
There's a theme here, a beautiful theme here in personal and professional success. Let's see. What are your, what are three of your favorite personal development books or biographies?
Um, the first ever personal development book I read was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And I feel like it's the book I've picked up the most times. Have I read it front to back every single one of those times? No, sometimes I just open it to a chapter and that's the one that finds me. He talks about, I can't remember the quote that he uses in there, but he talks about like not cycling back through like the poor me club, basically.
Oh, right,
And
right.
that was a life changing chapter for me because I grew up around people. I mean, you are what you know, right? So I grew up around people that did that. And I didn't realize how often I was reliving essentially my own trauma by just thinking I was telling you about it, even if I didn't apply any negative connotation to it. And the second, when I read that book, I was at dinner with a good friend of mine and I was complaining about my roommate. And he stopped me and he said, "Why do you give her so much energy? Maybe just stop talking about her." And I was like, I mean, it was just like an unlocked, concept. So, I would say one of my other favorites, and we talked about it today, is 15 Secrets of Time Management. I was really hooked on using a paper calendar for the longest time, and there's other obvious awesome options in that book that they talk about, but that is a very easy read and it really helped me unlock some good daily practices that I have applied. Restaurant specific, I love Unreasonable Hospitality.
Okay.
It's a good book. So I like that they talk about being valued and cared for as a consumer, and then that's what breeds loyalty. So like that.
Oh, well said. That's right. Well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
We
Going
we
above
share
and
the
beyond.
we share the success principles in common. That's my top three favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
So by Jack Canfield. If anyone's listening and hasn't read that one yet,
Yes.
there's very few books that I say are must reads,
Hmm.
and that's one of them. 15
Yeah.
Secrets Successful People Know About Time Management by Kevin Cruz. I was fortunate to have him on the podcast, and he talked about the book. That's
Yeah.
also a must read.
Hmm.
There's
I would agree.
before it's really before you read Success Principles and afterwards. That's your life before it,
Oh, yeah.
and then life afterwards. And the
Yeah.
same thing with 15 Secrets
Yeah.
Successful People Know About Time Management. There's before you read the book, and then there's the rest of your life afterwards, because those two books are going to make you see the world in a whole different way. And you'll
Yeah.
be happier, more confident, more successful. Your positive impact will go up if you apply it.
Yes,
Excellent choices, excellent recommendations,
I
excellent
agree.
business recommendation with the Unreasonable Hospitality book as well. What's
Yeah.
an inspiring educational documentary or movie or TV show you'd recommend?
I don't watch TV really. I would say I really like the School of Greatness podcast.
Okay.
So if I were giving something inspiring, there's hundreds of podcasts on there, and you could pick or choose any one that pertains to your situation. And I feel like he always has really top tier guests on there. So if that's what I was giving, I would say it's that.
Okay. Oh, great choice. Yeah, that is an incredible podcast.
He has some good people. Yeah.
That's right. He's a great interviewer, breaks it down, makes it simple. Okay,
Yeah.
great recommendation there on that one.
Yep.
Let's see. Your proudest accomplishment.
Oh, I would definitely say being a mom. Um, it isn't something I ever thought I wanted when I was younger. When people would ask me if I was going to have kids, I would always say no. And here I am with 4 kids.
Hmm.
So it's something that I'm super proud of my kids. I'm super proud of the type of people that they are. Um, they're good people. And so that is something I can like tangibly see and hold on to and be so extremely grateful for and proud of. Um, Alternately, like professionally, I'm so proud of these businesses. Like we were one tiny little diner. Our North Hills diner is still there. It is tiny and old. And I mean, all of our offices are these like really small spaces. And I'm just so in awe of how much an organization can like grow and take off from such a tiny little seed. You know, it was a dream that my mom had for a long time and she talked about it a lot. So to see it come to fruition and watch it build year after year after year, is a really cool thing. You know, success is obviously no accident. There's a lot of hard work that happens and all of that, but um, if you remove all of the things to look at it, you're just like, wow, I can't imagine how someone dreamt this every day and now it's all just here, right? So I love I love watching it grow, and it's kind of like additional kids, you know.
Hmm.
So but,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing both personal and professional. And I
Yeah.
think it's important for everyone to hear that for, a few key reasons here. Number one, of all the success that Kelly O's has had in terms of awards and recognition and the number of guests they've had through the door, locations, all the success they've had, Sean is 100% in on that. Okay. 100%, 100% of the time, as Greg Harden says. And what I can tell you is that Sean is also in 100% of the time, gives 100%, 100% of the time as a mom as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And for everyone listening who thinks that you can't have both this strong business, this strong career, it can be done. It
Yeah.
can be done.
Yeah.
Okay. And also focusing on her health as well. Okay. It can be done. Well, how can it be done? Rewind this podcast, listen to it again in terms of the mindsets, the habits, the books Shauna recommends. Okay. Podcast, rewind it. And if you think that it can't happen, that you can't, that it's impossible to be a super CEO and entrepreneur and also be a super mom and also be able to focus on your health and also have your stress and mental health at a good level. Okay. Good, healthy level.
Yeah.
It can be done. We're talking to someone who's done it. Most
Yeah.
people think this is all impossible. You can't do all those things. Well, again, rewind the podcast, listen to the mindsets, listen to the habits,
Yeah.
read the books that she recommends, listen to some podcast episodes by Lewis Howe. Okay. And you've got the blueprint. Sean has given us the blueprint today.
Don't overthink.
Shauna, don't overthink. Thank you. Okay. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Powerful, my friend.
Yes.
What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out in their career or business?
Um, I would say if you're working for someone else, work that job as though you are the owner of that company. If you are someone who owns your own business, put yourself into the trenches. And I am in the position of we are business owners. So my number one piece of advice there is make sure that you know every position in your business. Be able to work every single one of them, even if it is something that you would outsource, right? So I am not out of the loop on anything. I can do all of the positions here. And it keeps me in a place where I'm not just a company man and I'm not just for the employee. I'm right in the center and I can be for both. I can advocate for my staff to get paid well or have benefits, have a 401k, but I can also read the performance indicators and know what we need to do to build our business to match those. But I could also go do dishes all day today if I needed to. So kind of all of those places.
Powerful,
Yeah.
very powerful advice for someone's career and for their business success. Again, you broke it down, made the complex simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you could give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't stress and worry about what the outcome is going to be. I feel like if you're focused on what could happen, there's no possible way you're able to give 100% in that moment. So if you just kind of relinquish the outcome and say, you know what, I'm going to show up, I'm going to be like the most try hard in the room to get whatever it is done, whatever task at hand done. The outcome will be fine. I spent a lot of time when I was younger too far in the future. And so it removed me from being as present as I could be in those moments. And though my outcome turned out fine, it could have been better, provided I stopped worrying about what it was going to be. I could have saved myself so much stress, so much anxiety, So I would say that's probably my number one piece of advice for a younger person. And it is something I give to younger people all of the time. I'm like, I'm an old lady. Please listen to me. This is the number one thing you need to know. So.
Oh, beautiful. What a great piece of advice to end on.
Thank you.
What a great piece of advice. Seana, where can people find you online as well as Kelly O's? I know we can find you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Where should we find you and where do we find Kelly O's?
So you can find Kelly O's in person in Pittsburgh. Online, we are on Instagram or on Facebook at Kelly O's Diner PGH. I'm not a big social media person. I like to talk to people in person. That's like the most old school thing about me. I want to meet you in person. So come to Pittsburgh and visit me here. But if you want to see from far away what we're working on, like our new bar project, or, listen to our podcasts, we usually share them on social at kellyospittsburgh.com.
Okay. Oh, excellent.
At Kelly's PGH. I don't know why I said .com.
Okay. There you go. There you go. Well, if you're in Pittsburgh, definitely stop into Kelly O's. Anyone who's listening, it'll be a great experience top to bottom. I mean, the food's exceptional. The service is exceptional. Everything's done with love and excellence from top to bottom. The second you get in there to the second you leave, you'll see it for yourself. You'll see what all the hype is and all the energy is about, all the magic is about.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. I'm still crying over a customer like 12 years later. So
there you go.
He brought me to tears and he was just a guy I served breakfast every Tuesday. So.
And that's the magic of Kelly O's right there. And you'll experience it yourself. There's something special going on there. You'll see it when you meet the team, you meet the people that work there, all these great, incredible people, and you meet Seana and her mom and Alan. it's
Yeah,
there's definitely something magic going on there, and it's definitely worth the experience. It's worth the drive or the flight,
yeah,
and you'll see why when you get
yeah.
in there.
I agree.
And Shauna, thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
sharing
you.
all this gold and positive energy. As
Yeah,
always, again, I appreciate your friendship,
yeah.
and keep doing it big, my friend.
Thank you. Bye.